Story begins as we meet a boy named Ibiki who runs for his life as a horned rabbit chases after him. He has no idea how he got there, and he hears a voice which mentions that it will appraise the rabbit for him, and he sees its stats. It jumps to attack him, but it hits his bag instead, and he falls on it as he loses his balance and crushes it. He's glad he survived, but realizes he's hungry, and he doesn't want to eat the rabbit since he isn't sure if it's safe. But the voice appraises it and tells him it's edible, but he can't cook it since he doesn't know how to start a fire, so he decides to take it with him. As he puts it in his bag, the voice tells him his bag isn't from this world, so he wonders what's going on. He asks the voice about the sky, so it tells him there's nothing there, but when he asks it about the ground, it mentions that there's a maze eater, which is over level 200. He thinks it must be hiding in the ground, but wonders if he can also be appraised, so the voice shows him his stats, and he sees that his job is a provisional appraiser. He asks about the voice's identity, so it reveals that it's his status support, but explains that it can't answer questions about personal information. He notices that he has a lot of skills, and he tries to test his expertise skill, but nothing happens, so he wonders if there's a tutorial. The voice tells him it's already running, which makes him confused, but he thinks he can just figure out everything on his own, and he activates his world map. He's disappointed since it isn't what he expected, and he thinks the lines represent the path he's traveled, and he realizes he's been walking in a circle. He doesn't know how to read the map, but he decides to just look at it as he goes, and he later reaches a road. He trips and falls, but the voice tells him he has earned the castaway title, and he panics as he sees a monster, but it's also afraid of him. An elf named Amelia shoots it with her arrow, and he thanks her for saving his life. She wonders how he escaped from the maze eater, but he has no idea what she's talking about, so she realizes he's completely clueless. He wonders who she is, so the voice shows him her stats, but he can't believe she's already 56. She explains that the maze eater is a monster that disguises itself as a grassland, and it doesn't attack its prey, but it waits for them to get exhausted before it consumes them. He realizes he almost died, but she tells him he's safe now, and she's impressed that a child was able to escape from the maze eater. But he tells her he's 16, and she can't believe he's already an adult since he's so small. That evening, Ibiki realizes that people above 15 are no longer minors in this world, and Amelia cooks the horned rabbit for him. After they eat it, he asks her where they are, so she reveals that they're in the Habrastia kingdom, but she can't believe he doesn't know that. He explains that he's from Japan, but she notes that she's never heard of it, so he realizes he has been sent to another world. She thinks he must be lonely since he's far from home, but she tells him not to worry, because she'll take him to the city. As he sleeps, she activates her air alarm, which creates orbs around them, and she wonders if he's the one the spirits told her about. In a flashback, we see Ibiki with his friends, and one of them, named Amon, tells him to drink her special tea. He tells her it's delicious, and he mentions how he's no longer a kid, but his height hasn't changed. His other friend Kyuko thinks he'll get taller since he's still in his growth period, and a boy named Taiki tells him he has good looks because the older girls are into him. They make plans for their summer vacation, but on their last day of school, Ibiki opens the door to his classroom, and he's suddenly sent to another world. In the present, Ibiki checks his phone, and he wonders how his friends are doing, but Amelia's button suddenly hits him. He sees her air alarm, and the voice tells him it activates when there's an intruder, but he wonders how he can return to his world. He checks his stats again, and the voice tells him he has the appraise ability, which allows him to see a target's traits and abilities, but he has no combat skills since the appraiser is a non-combat job. He still doesn't know much about his job, but he goes back to sleep, and the next day, Amelia realizes her chest is out. Ibiki shows her the button she lost, but she becomes embarrassed and punches him away. After that, they make their way to a town called Lowell, but he knows there are monsters in the woods, and she's impressed that he can sense them, so he explains that it's thanks to his world map skill. She can't believe he has it since it's an extremely rare skill, and he reveals that he's a provisional appraiser, but she doesn't know what the word provisional means. He thinks the world map is nothing special, since it only shows him the monsters and people around him, but she explains that all adventurers would kill to have it. She thinks it helped him escape from the maze eater, but she isn't surprised that he doesn't know how valuable it is, since she already knows he's completely clueless. He realizes there's a crystal horn rabbit in the area, and she wants to catch it since its horn is worth 200 gold. They see the rabbit, and Ibiki tells Amelia it has the escape ability, so she suppresses her sound and smell, but he wonders why she has no arrows. She reveals that she's a spirit archer, so she can make arrows out of thin air, and she fires her full power shot, but the rabbit easily avoids it. She realizes they can't catch it as long as it has the escape skill, but she knows that it can't use abilities while it's attacking, so Ibiki comes up with a plan. They lure the rabbit to their trap and surround it with stone walls, but it realizes that Ibiki is defenseless, so it prepares to attack him, and Amelia uses the chance to shoot it, and she's glad their plan worked, but Ibiki notices that all of his skills have leveled up. He wonders how that happened, because he didn't even fight the rabbit, so she explains that he gained XP since he was the one who came up with the plan. Meanwhile, at the Adventurers Guild, a girl named Yahello completes her registration, and the receptionist Jewel tells her she can now check the job requests, but she notes that she already knows what to do for her first job. Amelia and Ibiki reach the city of Lowell, and she gives him her cloak since his clothes look strange, telling him he can buy new ones after they sell the crystal horn. He wonders how much a gold coin is worth, and the voice tells him it's about 10,000 yen, so he realizes that the horn is worth a fortune. They head to the guild, where some adventurers bully Ibiki since he looks like a kid, but Jade appears with the Silver Banner Party. He tells Ibiki not to mind the adventurers, since they always pick on rookies, and he leaves for his next mission. Amelia tells Jewel she has something to sell, so she takes Amelia and Ibiki to the Guildmaster Bells, and Ibiki thinks he's amazing, since he's completely jacked. He starts to flex his muscles, and he allows Ibiki to touch them, but the girls blast them with their magic, and tell them they need to start over. Jewel asks Amelia what she wants to sell, so she shows everyone the crystal horn, and Bells offers to buy it for 400 gold. Ibiki thinks it's a good offer, but she starts to haggle with Bells, and notes that she wants 800 gold for it. He's no match for her negotiation skills, and they settle on 700, so she starts to celebrate. Jewel tells Bells he went over the guild's budget, so they need to deduct the excess from his salary, and Amelia thinks Ibiki will ask her to party with him since she's amazing. But her button suddenly pops off again, and Jewel kicks the boys out of the room. After that, the voice tells Ibiki that his tutorial skill has reached the level up requirements, but he has no idea what it is. The voice explains that it allows him to receive help from God, so that he can learn how to survive in this world, and he realizes that the God has been watching over him all this time. He suddenly hears the God's voice, and he tells Ibiki to take care of himself and stay alive, but he promises to help him out. Ibiki wants to ask him questions, but the God bids him farewell, and the voice notes that since his tutorial skill has leveled up, the support of his guide will now end. Amelia joins him, but she suddenly receives a quest, and notes that she needs to leave the city immediately, so he wonders if she was the guide that the voice mentioned. We see Yahello in a dungeon, and she looks at her mirror, but she doesn't find what she's looking for, so she decides to head back. We return to Ibiki, who tells Amelia he'll be fine without her, since he saw quests that are for non-combatants. She notes that he can sleep in the room where she was staying, and she gives him a map to the Smiling Goddess Inn, telling him he can keep the cloak she gave him. But he thinks she needs it more than he does, since her button keeps popping off. So she becomes embarrassed and runs off, but she bumps into Yahello, and a guard asks her why she's in a hurry. She explains that she needs to return to her hometown, so Yahello realizes she's headed to the Elf Kingdom, and she decides to go with her since she's also headed that way. After some time, we see Ibiki in the Smiling Goddess Inn, and he wonders how he can return to his world. We learn that he asked Jewel if she knew anything about another world, so she told him he would find it outside the town, but he realized it wasn't what he was looking for. A girl named Tanya tells him it's almost time for dinner, but he thinks he needs to find a job, since the money from the horn is all he has. He checks his stats, and notices he gained the title of Older Lady Killer, but he wonders what he can do to make a living. So the voice tells him he has a new skill called Medical Book, which will allow him to learn high-level medical procedures. He notes that he wants to read it, so the voice warns him he can't stop the process once he opens it, but he decides to do it anyway. The book appears before him, and it suddenly starts to force all the information into his brain. Amelia tells Yahello about Ibiki, and Yahello thinks she's in love with him, but she explains that it isn't the case. They meet her mate Stelia, and Amelia introduces her to Yahello, who notes that they're in a party. Amelia is happy to hear this, since she's never had a party member before, but Stelia seems to be upset. A few days later, Ibiki finally absorbs everything from the book, and he heads to the armory, where he buys new equipment. He visits the guild, but the silver banner returns, and he realizes Jade is injured. They think Balas can save him, but Jewel reveals that he's out of town, and their healer explains that they tried everything, but they still can't stop Jade from bleeding. Ibiki wants to help him, and everyone thinks he can't do anything since he's an appraiser, but he explains that he has a medical skill. He examines Jade's body, and realizes he has been poisoned, which is why the healer can't stop the bleeding. The voice notes that he'll die in 5 minutes, and explains that the only way to save him is to use Hypercure and Perfect Heal, but it would take 650 MP to cast both spells. Ibiki realizes he only has 56 MP, so he thinks he can't do anything, but the voice suggests using his contract skill, which allows him to borrow MP from other adventurers. He decides to do it, and the members of the Silver Banner agree to have a contract with him, but it still isn't enough, so Jewel also lends him her MP. The voice tells him he now has enough to use both spells, so he casts Hypercure, which removes the poison from Jade's body, and he follows up with Perfect Heal. His magic surrounds Jade's body, and everyone realizes that he has been completely healed, so his friends are glad he made it, but Ibiki collapses from exhaustion. He dreams about Amon, who tells him he always acts without thinking, and she wants him to take care of himself, since he'll be in trouble if no one comes to save him. He wakes up as the voice tells him his skills have leveled up, and Jewel thanks him for saving Jade, revealing that he's her brother. Ibiki wonders why they're so different, so she explains that they don't have the same mother. She tells him she issued a gag order about the incident, since he might get into trouble if the public learns what happened, and she suggests he find a party, since he needs friends to protect him, and he thinks it's a good idea. But he doesn't know how much longer he'll stay in the city, so she suggests hiring a bodyguard instead. Ibiki meets a man named Dab, and tells him he wants to hire a bodyguard, but Dab suddenly becomes excited, since he can smell that Ibiki has money. He shows him the strongest men in his company, but Ibiki realizes that they don't have high MP, so he rejects all of them. Dab promises to find someone else, and he shows Ibiki around his company, but Ibiki wonders why he keeps smelling him. He realizes that Dab has a skill called Sense of Smell, and he doesn't know what it does, but he thinks it has something to do with his love for money. He sees a dark area, but Dab doesn't recommend there, since the options there have flaws. He explains that he only allows them to stay there since they can't return to their homelands, but Ibiki finds them interesting, so he wants to meet them. Dab takes him to a cell, where he sees a wolf and a girl, and Dab explains that they're locked up, because the wolf went on a rampage when he tried to protect the girl. Dab notes that she has magic powers, but she can't control them, and Ibiki appraises the wolf and the girl, and realizes a portion of their stats are hidden, but the voice tells him to use his expert eye. He checks its description, and learns that it's an extremely rare skill given to him by God, which allows him to see the true nature of everything. He uses it to appraise them again, and learns that the wolf Claude has an invisible curse, but he's surprised to learn that Claude is a level 95 hero. He checks the girl Lillian, and notices that she has the Raging Sanctuary skill, which prevents her from controlling her magic, but he learns that it was given to her by a god. He wonders why God would give her such a useless skill, so he explains that it can't be helped, since it's a trial for a sage. He decides to choose them as his bodyguards, and the voice suggests using his Relief Measure skill, which allows him to lift curses. He tells Dab he'll buy them, so he becomes aroused, and thanks Ibiki for his business. After that, Ibiki takes them to the woods, where he tells Claude he'll heal him, but explains that he needs Lillian's help to do it. She agrees to cooperate with him, and Claude thinks he can't be trusted, but she tells him to let them cook, and explains that she wants to help him since he's always been there for her. So she agrees to let Ibiki borrow her MP, and he uses his healing spell to treat Claude, bringing him back to perfect condition. He thanks Ibiki for healing him, and notes that he feels stronger, but he still isn't in top shape. Ibiki knows it's because of his curse, and he wonders how Ibiki learned about it, since even appraisers can't detect it, so Ibiki mentions how he used his expert eye. Claude can't believe it, because he knows it's a divine ability, and Ibiki activates his relief measure to lift Claude's curse. Everyone sees the chains that hold Claude down, and a giant pair of scissors appears above him. It cuts one of the chains, but Ibiki wonders why it left the others, so God explains that he needs to level up his skill to remove the curse completely. Claude realizes that a portion of his strength has returned, and he apologizes for being rude to Ibiki, telling him he wants to swear allegiance to him. The voice tells Ibiki to use his contract skill to perform a ceremony of allegiance, where Claude will promise to serve and protect him, and he thinks it will make Claude happy, so he decides to do it. Rays of light appear from the sky, as Claude pledges his body and soul to Ibiki, and the light spirits accept the ceremony, causing a symbol to appear on their hands. Claude knows it's a crest of the light spirits, which is a sign that they've acknowledged his loyalty, and he looks forward to working with Ibiki. We see Amelia with the others, and she wants to rest in the hot springs, but Stelia is against it, since they might get attacked while they're taking a bath. But she wants to wash Havel's back since she thinks they're friends, so she decides to go to the hot springs. We return to Ibiki, as he tells the others he needs their help since he has low MP, and they agree to form a contract with him. The voice notes that his grimoire skill has leveled up, but he has no idea what it is, and Claude notices he's talking to someone else, so he tells them about the voice. He knows it's the tutorial skill, and he realizes Ibiki is from another world, but he notes that it won't affect his loyalty. He knows that tutorial is a divine skill, and he thinks Ibiki is connected to the chief god, telling him there are 11 gods in this world. Ibiki wonders why Lillian has the Raging Sanctuary skill, but she has no idea what it is, so he explains that it destroys her with her uncontrollable magic power. She becomes depressed hearing this, and Claude explains that her family sold her because of it, so Ibiki realizes he shouldn't have told her about it. He notes that they should blame the chief god for giving her that skill, but Claude thinks the god of magic was the one who gave it to her. The chief god tells him he's right, but the god of magic hears him, and she beats him up. She knows that Lillian is suffering because of it, and explains that she can't remove it, but Ibiki can use the grimoire skill that she gave him to help adjust Lillian's MP and magic power. The chief god apologizes for ratting her out, but she tells the god of the underworld to torture him, and Ibiki listens to him suffer, as the voice notes that his tutorial and expert eye have gone offline. He activates his grimoire skill, which causes a cat named Vene to appear, and she notes that the god of magic sent her, but Lillian cuddles her since she's so cute. Claude becomes upset seeing this, since Lillian didn't even pet him once, and he immediately apologizes for losing it. Ibiki returns to the armory, where he buys equipment for Claude, who explains that he prefers light armor, since a heavier one would make him feel hot. Ibiki also buys a robe for Lillian, and the merchant notes that it costs 25 gold, so he pays for it, but she wants to return it since it's too expensive. He explains that her safety is more important than money, and tells her to pick a staff to go with it, but he's actually worried since he's about to go broke. Vinny tells him not to leave her out, so he buys her a collar worth 15 gold, and the merchant thanks him for supporting his business. After that, Vinny decides to teach everyone how to use magic, and she notes that Claude is fine since he's a hero, but Ibiki and Lillian lack the fundamentals to become proper adventurers. He asks Vinny if he'll be able to use combat spells if he studies magic, but she notes that he can only learn household magic, which makes him depressed. She explains that they must register him as the accountable person to get Lillian's magic under control, and notes that her MP isn't affected, but her magic power has been reduced to 10%. She mentions that their goal is to help her release her magic power, and explains that Lillian should learn power circulation, which is an exercise where two people hold hands and control the flow of magic. Ibiki and Claude give it a try, but Claude unleashes his magic power, and Ibiki suddenly has a vision, where he meets an elf named Anastasia. He realizes he's in Claude's body, and he starts to spend time with her, as he recalls how she taught him everything he knew, and even fought by his side. He wishes he could be with her forever, but during one of their battles, she suddenly betrays him, and she's mesmerized by the moon. Ibiki wakes up, and he still thinks he's Claude, so Claude reminds him who he is, and everyone's glad he's back to normal. Vinny explains that he sank into Claude's consciousness because he couldn't handle Claude's magic, and she scolds him for pouring all of his mana into Ibiki. She asks Ibiki what he saw in Claude's consciousness, so he explains that he saw something beautiful, but he can't remember what it was. After that, Ibiki starts to clean his room, since he thinks it will help him learn household magic, and he checks his stats to see if he has learned a new skill. He knows that he needs the spirit's help to learn the spells, so he's doing chores to please them, but he isn't sure if it's working. Lillian and Claude join him in the room, but Claude accidentally kicks a bucket of water, and he apologizes for the mess he made. Ibiki tells him it's okay, and notes that he's cute since he's a clumsy hero, which causes him to blush. Ibiki continues to tidy up his room, but the voice tells him he still hasn't learned household magic, so he cleans the entire hallway. Tanya realizes the place is spotless, which makes her happy, and she promises to give him an extra dish for his next meal. The next day, Vinay trains Lillian how to control her magic, and Claude teaches Ibiki how to use a bow, but he seems hopeless, and he fails to hit his target. He realizes archery is difficult, and he wants to rest since his hands are sore, but Claude tells him they don't need to take a break, since he can use his magic to heal his injuries. We cut to Amelia, as her group reaches a fork in the road, and she knows that one of them leads to a haunted fortress, so she decides to avoid it. Yvel thinks they should check it out, since they might find hidden treasure, so Amelia changes her mind, and she starts to follow Yvel, who notes that they'll be fine as long as they stick together. Ibiki cooks a meal for everyone, but he thinks the soup tastes bland, so he adds salt and pepper, and Lillian tells him it's delicious. They start to enjoy the food together, but he stops as he bites a mushroom and asks Claude if he cleaned it properly. Ibiki wonders what happened to their apples, and Lillian realizes he messed them up, since he doesn't know how to peel them. Ibiki asks him if he knows how to butcher monsters for food, so he reveals that he's an expert, but Ibiki notes that he has no cooking skills, and he explains it's because of the curse, but Lillian knows he's lying. Ibiki washes the dishes, and the voice tells him he has learned bubble wash, so he's glad that he can finally use household magic, but he realizes that a boar is rushing toward them. Claude waits for it to get close to him, and he unleashes his precision strike, which instantly blows its head off. Everyone's amazed by his strength, but he notes that they should dispose of the boar's body, since the smell of its blood will attract other monsters. Vinay tells Lillian it's her chance to use magic, so she casts her water spell to remove the boar's odor, and everyone realizes it worked. Claude prepares to teach Ibiki how to butcher monsters, but he becomes nervous, since he thinks Claude wants to get back at him. Amelia's group reaches the fortress, and she starts to look for treasure, while Yvel checks her mirror, and realizes that the place really is haunted. She hears the others scream, and they think they found treasure, but she realizes they're hallucinating, so she uses her lightning magic to bring them to their senses. We return to Ibiki, as he finishes butchering the boar, and he notes that he wants to try his bubble wash on Claude. Everyone's worried since they don't know what will happen to him, but Ibiki uses his bubble wash anyway, and Claude screams as the spell hits him. He gets surrounded by bubbles, but he feels amazing after the spell cleans him, since it makes him feel like a new person.